Hawks Lays an Egg by Butterfly Apocalypse on AO3. Episode 5, Chapter 3. Dabi gently stroked the textured egg in silence. He looked up. "How are we gonna feed him when he hatches?" he asked. "I was thinking formula. If you're asking if I'm lactating, the answer is no," said Hawks. He shook his head. "No, I was wondering if we were gonna have to feed him like a baby bird." "God, I hope not," Hawks gasped. "I can't throw up on command. I don't have a gag reflex." Dabi smirked. "I'm well aware." His hand had strayed from Omelet's shell to Hawks's thigh. Hawks pointedly plucked it off. "No." Dabi's smirk fell, and he frowned in frustration. "I don't get it. What's the holdup, Birdie?" Raising his eyebrows, Hawks gestured with both hands at the egg in his lap. "We can use the shower, or the couch if you want," Dabi suggested hopefully. "Or the wall, or the table, or floor. I'm not picky." Tempting. Has anyone ever told you that you're a master at seduction? "Oh yeah, all the time." Hawks laughed. "I'd love to, but what if omelet gets too cold, or too dry, or needs to be turned?" Dabi considered. "Quickie?" "No." "Fine." Dabi groaned, standing up. "I'm leaving. Get some sleep before you kneel over." "Sure thing," Hawk said. At the mention of sleep, a wave of exhaustion hit him. He'd like to say that he was fully alert until that highly unwanted villain was certainly out of his home, but the truth was, he was falling asleep moments after Dabi left his room. "So, your villain boo has graduated to personal chef?" Romy asked over the lid of her coffee cup. Hawk slurped the kombucha loudly and nodded. When he asked for a disgustingly healthy drink, he thought Romy was going to have a heart attack. From Bugs Bunny. "Who are you, and what have you done with Hawks?" Something interesting had happened since Dabi started cooking for him. Dabi has standards. Well, standards about food. Obviously, he was still easy as fuck when it came to people. Opinions apparently were a gateway drug to vegetables. A gateway vegetable? But regardless of his newfound fondness for vegetables, he was not quite sure what to think about kombucha. Rumi told him that there was alcohol in it, and that it was enough to pip his interest. The reality of it was confusing. He was gonna go with not good. He made a face. "Not a fan of kombucha?" Rumi asked. Hawk shook his head, pushing the bottle back towards her. "Huh. How do I guess that happened?" She produced from somewhere behind her a sugary-looking frappe topped with whipped cream. It was beautiful. "Rumi, you deserve to be the #1 hero. And don't you..." Hawk said tearfully. Rumi hummed. "And don't you forget it, brat." Upon sipping the frappe, Hawks moaned. "How did I ever think I could be healthy? I love sugar so much. I was gonna start going to Pilates." "Pilates?" Hawks. I know. He shuddered. "Oh, yeah, I told Dabi he couldn't kill people or do anything particularly villainous until Omelet hatches." "Oh, and how did your darling, most wanted villain respond to that?" Rumi teased. Hawk smirked. "I convinced him. I have ways." "Nasty," said Rumi. In reality, Dabi had agreed pretty easily. He was swayed quickly by omelet-related reasons. If Hawks had known that all it took to get Dabi wrapped around his finger was an egg, he would have bought an ostrich egg and told Dabi it was his ages ago. Maybe he could still spin this and convince Dabi to betray the League. He entertained the idea briefly. "Come on, son, let's go visit your daddy in prison," he would tell toddler Omelet. He snorted. He wondered how the League of Villains was taking the news of Dabi's leave of absence from villainy. The League took the news about as well as Dabi expected. "Come again?" Mr. Compress said incredulously. Dabi shrugged. I already told you I was taking parental leave. This is what it means. So Dabi-kun isn't coming on missions with us anymore? Toga whined. Pretty much. Dabi agreed. But you could still help us plan and stuff. Toga checked. Sure. Dabi agreed. And you'll still come to game nights? Toga put on her best puppy dog eyes. Dabi snorted. Do you think I'd miss the opportunity to watch Twice trash talk himself? Hey, I do not do that, Twice protested. I wouldn't have to if someone would stop landing on tax spaces. You see what I mean? Dabi said. Though I'd like to request we not play life this time. Thank you, Twice said. What? No, I want to finally win. Toga patted Twice's shoulder. It'll be okay. In a stage whisper, she added, Lobby is just gonna get way too attached to all the kids he has. Oh, no, she did not. You know what? I think I changed my mind. Game night is overrated. What? No, I was kidding. Toga grabbed onto his sleeve. We can play, Mousetrap. You like Mousetrap, right? That was Moonfish. Spinner reminded. Toga nodded. Oh, yeah, I remember. He ate the mice. What about a nice card game? Mr. Compress suggested. I could go for cards, Spinner said. Yeah, we could play BS, Toga requested. I can work on my lying face. I was thinking more we play Mako, Compress suggested hopefully. I hate Mako, said Toga, pouting. I don't trust you enough to play Mako, Dabi said. I don't know how to play Mako, Spinner yelled. I think you just make things up to make us mad. Compress shook his head. No. The point of Mako is that you figure out how to play. If you play more than one round, I promise it's fun. Kirigiri cleared his throat. I'd still like to continue that game of Monopoly. No! Everybody wanted to continue that game of Monopoly. What if, instead of game night, we did karaoke? Toga said. I'd be down for karaoke, Spinner said, sounding shy. I mean, like, if the rest of you are. Yay! Toga cheered. Karaoke! Twice joined her chants. Karaoke! Karaoke! If I have to listen to any of you sing, I will burn this entire place down. Dabi threatened. Sounds like somebody can't sing, Compress said. Yeah, Dabi agreed. Everyone here, in fact. I can sing, Spinner protested quietly. Maybe we can do a game night and a karaoke night. Kirigiri tried to compromise. We're playing Clue, Shigaraki stated with an air of finality. Dabi shrugged. Clue works. I like Clue, said Toga. I like the part about the knife. There was murmurs from the rest of the league. Toga waved her hand. Hey, Shigaraki, can we expand our games section to video games? I want to play Dance Dance Revolution. I thought we established the rules. If you want to play a specific game, you have to bring it yourself, said Shigaraki. That's not a no, she cheered. You hear that, Dabi-kun? We can play DDR. You won't want to miss that. Dabi gulped in response. Yeah, there was no way he was missing DDR. Toga turned her gaze onto Twice and Spinner. She clapped her hands together. So, about karaoke. Dabi quickly extracted himself as to not be part of that conversation. Kirigiri waved him over amiably. How is parent life treating you? Kirigiri asked. Normally Dabi would be on guard and prepared for teasing, but Kirigiri was the one league member he trusted to be asking because he genuinely cared. Omelette is still an egg, so he's not up to much. Hawks take care of most of the egg care. He has some freakily weird instincts that help him. Right now I'm in charge of cooking and supply running. Dabi answered honestly. You're cooking? Kirigiri sounded surprised. Didn't want to recognize when I get takeout. Dabi suggested. He was also getting, not worried, that was too strong of a word. Baffled? Horrified, maybe? by the sheer amount of quality fried chicken Hawks ate and the frequency at which he ate it. He also still wasn't sure of the entire ethics of such a bird-like person eating so many birds. Right, Kirigiri said. Dabi narrowed his eyes. Did he sound unconvinced? It must be frustrating not being able to see what's going on. We're gonna try to see what's in the egg when we have a bright enough light to, candle him. He was still having a hard time calling it candling. Maybe it was just a negative association with fire. Now, isn't that exciting? It was impossible to tell with Kirigiri, but Dabi thought he could hear a smile in his voice. Dabi shrugged. Kind of freaky, if you ask me. It was simply the first time they could see inside the egg. Hawks insisted he knew it was fertilized, but there was still a chance that he was mistaken. Once they candled him, it would give them a definitive answer. A definitive answer on whether or not you're going to be a dad, Dabi thought to himself. No biggie. Kirigiri chuckled. It's okay to be nervous. Nervous about what? Dabi bristled. Seeing inside, wading into the egg hatches, raising a child, the prospect of parenthood itself, plenty to be nervous about. But also, Kirigiri's voice sounded warm. Plenty to be excited about. Dabi felt suspicious. Was Kirigiri reading him? Was he readable? Dabi didn't like that one bit. His aloofness was part of his identity. You sure seemed excited about it, Dabi said, accusingly. What can I say? Said Kirigiri. I like kids. Obviously, considering the company you keep. Dabi jerked his head back to where Shigaraki was probably frantically searching his neck. Dabi jerked his head back to where Shigaraki was probably frantically scratching his neck, or something. Kirigiri disguised his laugh as a cough. Dabi's phone buzzed in his pocket. He knew better than to check it in the view of the league. They had no comption of privacy. But he didn't have to look to know it was Hawks being hangry. Dabi sighed, moving towards the door. I should go feed my chicken. You do that, Kirigiri agreed. Aw, are you leaving already? Dabi called. Good riddance. Say hi to your boyfriend for me, Toga said. Dabi froze. My what? Toga hesitated. Your boyfriend? Hawks? He's not my boyfriend, Dabi insisted with as much intensity as he could muster. Really now? Kumpra said skeptically. I'm assuming with all the we's and the my chickens and the having children together that you two were, together. Dabi regained his composure. Well, you know what they say about assuming. Toga gasped dramatically, throwing her hands over her mouth. Oh no, Dabi-kun, he doesn't like you back. Remembering that composure he just regained, yeah. What? He gritted out. Well, if he liked you back, you two would be together, right? Unless there's another problem, Toga said. Let's back it up to the part where you, again, assumed I liked him. Dabi's heart pounded in his ears. From anger. He was angry. You don't? Toga asked. Was there anyone here who wasn't under the assumption that I have a stupid crush on Hawks? Dabi demanded. Shigaraki raised a hand. I don't think you're capable of love. Thank you, Dabi said. Are you sure you don't like Hawks? Toga pressed. Spinner thought, don't drag me into this. Spinner whispered frantically. No, Dabi drawled. Tell me what you thought, lizard boy. Spinner shook his head. I think I'd rather not. Toga jumped in. He said he thought Hawks represented a connection to the hero world that, as much as you hate, you also obsess with. And that Hawks started off as a game of how close can I get without being burned, which is funny for obvious reasons, but you also got too close and now you're gonna have a kid together. It's reawakening a part that view that you forgot you even had, the part that longs for a normal life. Overrated, if you ask me, Dabi-kun. And that now you're started on that path, and you can't help but to love the person that made you feel something other than hate. You could hear a pin drop. Dabi tried several times to get out a response. Thanks for the psychoanalysis, he managed. Let me know when you publish your fan fiction. But he was right, wasn't he? Toga asked. I'll give you 10 guesses. Dabi mustered, storming out. He headed down. He marched past buildings. His breath swirled in the air in front of him. The chill didn't bother him much. He needed to cool his head anyways before Hawks would let him near Omelette. Maybe he'll just take an extra walk before heading there. Once he was a safe distance away from the League's hideout, he pulled out his phone. He was in luck. He had a stop to make. Alright, so the next chapter is chapter 4, and the summary is, I have a concussion. I don't want to what? I have a concussion? I don't want to bone. Okay. Alright. Okay. Okay, alright, okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting. But this is interesting. I really like it so far. Do I think Dabi has fallen in love? I don't think I would call it love, but I think he's probably, like Icarus, flown a little too close to the sun. Or I guess that would Dabi be the sun in this scenario, or would Hawks be the sun? Are they each other's sun? What is it to be a sun? What is a sun? Okay, whatever. Point taken is this is far interesting. This is super interesting. Yeah, okay. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Links to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.